She stood there, small but unshakable. A girl made of bronze, facing down the towering bull of Wall Street. They called her Fearless Girl, a symbol of courage. But the truth behind her statue? The financial firm that placed it was under investigation for underpaying women. Pepsi released a protest ad starring Kendall Jenner. It looked like revolution, unity, hope. But in the end, it was just an ad, designed not to make change, but to sell soda. During Pride Month, corporations light up their logos in rainbow colors. But quietly, some of them donate millions to politicians who vote against LGBTQ rights. It's called virtue signaling, and it's everywhere. In a world where attention is money, even morality becomes a product. Social justice isn't just a cause anymore, it's a brand. And behind the slogans, the hashtags, and the headlines, there's a business. This is the story of how woke culture, once a warning to stay aware, became a marketing strategy, a political tool, and in some cases, a scam. Before it became a brand strategy, woke simply meant awake. To be woke was to be conscious, especially to the ways power, privilege, and injustice shaped the world around you. As Twitter exploded in the 2010s, the language of social justice followed. Hashtags like Black Lives Matter, Me Too, and trans rights are human rights spread across the digital world. People were connecting, sharing, organizing. And brands noticed something else too: attention. These posts got likes, shares, engagement. For a company, that kind of visibility is gold. It didn't take long before marketing departments started asking the same question: how can we be part of this conversation? And by part of the conversation, they usually meant, how do we sell our product without looking like we're selling our product? It began with good intentions, or at least good optics. Companies started promoting causes. The idea was simple. Consumers today want brands with values, so let's give them values. But here's the twist. The values were often just for show. The products didn't change. The leadership didn't change. The policies didn't change. The only thing that changed was the packaging. When a company tells you they care, the first question you should ask is, do they? Because behind the banners and slogans and rainbow-colored logos lies a simple truth: wokeness sells. It's called virtue signaling. Expressing support for a moral cause to enhance your reputation. In other words, look at me. I'm one of the good guys. For companies, that message can be powerful and profitable. This is where the term woke capitalism comes in. A phrase coined by New York Times writer Ross Douthat and later popularized by others. It describes how big corporations borrow the language of activism, not to change the world, but to protect their brand, increase sales, and avoid being held accountable. In 2017, Pepsi released a commercial. You probably remember it, or at least the backlash. Kendall Jenner, reality TV star and model, walks through a crowd of beautiful, smiling protesters. There's music, vibes, signs that say love. She walks up to a police officer and hands him a Pepsi. Suddenly, the tension is gone. Everyone cheers. No demands, no policy, no message, just soda. The ad borrowed the aesthetic of real protest movements, but stripped them of pain, purpose, and politics. Critics called it tone-deaf and exploitative. Some said it tried to sell revolution in a can. Pepsi pulled the ad within 24 hours and issued an apology. But the damage was done. It was a masterclass in woke washing, using the appearance of activism to sell a product. A year later, another brand took a very different approach and got a very different result. In 2018, Nike launched a campaign featuring former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick, the man who had become a lightning rod in American politics for kneeling during the national anthem to protest police violence. The ad's tagline was simple: believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. It was bold, controversial, polarizing. Some burned their Nike shoes in protest, but others, especially younger, socially conscious consumers, praised the brand. Nike's sales jumped by 31% that week. Its stock price climbed, and the campaign won multiple awards. So what's the problem? Well, behind the scenes, Nike was still facing criticism for using sweatshop labor overseas, particularly in countries with poor working conditions and low wages. Here's what all of this reveals. Corporate virtue is not always real. In many cases, it's a business calculation. As investor and author Vivek Ramaswamy puts it, you pretend like you care about something other than profit and power, precisely to gain more of each. In June 2020, after the murder of George Floyd shook the world, politicians everywhere scrambled to respond. Some marched, some posted hashtags, some made speeches about reckoning and systemic racism. But one moment stood out. Inside the US Capitol, Speaker Nancy Pelosi and a group of Democratic lawmakers knelt in silence for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, wearing kente cloth stoles, a symbol of African heritage. Photos were taken, videos were shared. The gesture was praised and ridiculed around the world. This is not activism, some said. This is theater. And here's the thing. No major police reform was passed that year. No national accountability system. What we got was a photo. These moments weren't isolated. They're part of a broader pattern, what critics call performative politics. In this model, politicians don't need to change the system. They just need to look like they care. Columbia University sociologist Musa Al-Gharbi calls this phenomenon a form of cultural capital. In his words, social justice discourse seems to be mobilized to legitimize inequality, to reinforce elite status, or to tear down rivals, often at the expense of those who are genuinely vulnerable. Today, being an activist is also a career path. There are activist influencers with millions of followers. Some truly dedicated. Others, building personal brands off of collective pain. They sell merchandise, they land speaking gigs, they collaborate with brands. They sign book deals about fighting oppression while becoming rich from it. So what do we do with all this? Do we give up on justice? Do we stop fighting for change? Or maybe we demand more. We ask better questions. We follow the money. We hold leaders and movements to a higher standard. Let me know what you think in the comments.